Welcome to the discussion this afternoon of the coronavirus market intelligence system. And it's a service that costs $1,900 a year for the one user and their additional users. And we have a website set up so that the additional users get the daily alerts and get access to all the forecasts as well as the original subscriber. And it's for the suppliers of filters, media, systems, masks, gowns, gloves, instrumentation, and destruction technology, who are faced with short-term decisions and long-term consequences when pursuing the market for COVID-19. The rapid changes in the market dictate continuous and accurate forecasting. This service meets the urgent needs with daily alerts, continually updated forecasts of the market impacted by the coronavirus, plus analysis of the technology which is ongoing. The continually updated forecasts are provided for each of those products: masks, gowns, gloves, filters, filter media, systems such as air filter systems, decontamination, and monitoring, which can be used as a surrogate for the viruses. There's also the option, if you're a subscriber to one of our other services, to receive a $1,000 discount on the package. So this could be our air filtration and purification report, which has got 50,000 forecasts. Another one on masks and respirators. We have one on clean rooms that does include gowns and gloves and masks. And then we have another one on IIoT and remote O&M, which covers all the monitoring sensors, particulate sensors, and so forth. So the service does include daily alerts. It includes the continually revised market forecasts, and it includes a technology database. Again, as we mentioned, for each one of these products, we have continually updated forecasts, and we have it for all regions of the world, and we have a 3-year forecast. And we're very active in places like India right now in a number of different areas. So this is worldwide, and of course the coronavirus is moving seasonally and geographically, and so we need to take a whole world perspective. The service does include sales strategy discussions and recordings, so we would be periodically scheduling a discussion with your sales staff where we could share information, and we can record those discussions and make them available to your people in the future. So the coronavirus daily alert includes the market drivers, technology, information on the suppliers, including your competitors, cost of ownership, and there's an average of about 10 articles per day and 10 or so pages of information. There's a technology database, so there's organized access to papers and case histories related to the coronavirus. We're also scheduling open recorded webinars where purchasers, hospitals, and so forth can, free of charge, listen to the experts. And it does include presentations of the various technologies and regulations and other aspects. So there's an additional interface with the purchasers in that we write feature articles in a number of major publications, and that does provide interface with the purchasers, validating supplier claims by application, by country. And for subscribers, we offer one recorded presentation up to 40 minutes in length, and that is displayed on YouTube and other areas there. Let's get into the details of the system here. We'll open the slide show from the beginning. As we said, it's a $1,900 a year service with the daily alerts. And as we've discussed earlier here, it covers mass air filters, filter media, decontamination, and monitoring. And the daily alerts certainly are needed with so much changing so rapidly here. So the daily alerts provide the information needed to adjust market forecasts and to prepare total cost of ownership analyses, which take into account comfort, life quality, discounted future value, and tribal factors. Scientific aspects such as virus size and travel distance, along with performance data for mass filters, decontamination equipment, and other products are covered. Product performance is an important component of the daily alerts. The magnitude and timing of the mitigation requirements needs to be tracked daily. The seasonal impact on each region will be reflected in the daily reporting. And for instance, here are the headlines for the April 6th alert. And there's a lot of information there about some of the mask making activities that are going on, as you can see. And in this particular alert, we go into detail about how many masks are being produced in each of the major regions. And what we point out here is that Sinopec, who was one of the largest chemical companies in the world, one of the largest companies in the world, period, has moved through the supply chain. They make the petrochemicals, they make the melt blowns, and they make the spun bonds. And they are now producing 5 million N95 masks per day, and that is from zero in January. So this is a huge number. And if you compare that to, for instance, the 3M targeting 2 billion masks per year, or not per day, by early 2021, you see that Sinopec went from zero to right up competing with 3M in terms of total production of masks. Here's the coronavirus of April 7th, and we're actually going to view this specifically here in a minute, so I'm going to skip that one. And then here's the one for today. And we have several articles on HEPA filters for ambulances, and in the cabin, in the patient area, and then for the ventilators themselves. And then we get into some of the total cost of ownership analyses. So companies like AAF provide total cost of ownership analyses for a range of healthcare needs, but the TCO diagnostics needs to take into account the latest coronavirus actually cost of ownership aspects. And the McIlvaine Company has been very, very involved in that. We've done a study for Cardinal Health and have a common metric to measure all harm and good. And the conclusion is that when you take the sick people as well as the people that die, the average cost is around $58 million for every coronavirus death. So that justifies a lot of filtration and masks and other products. And again, the filtration group it also takes a total cost of ownership approach with their products. The heart of it, of course, is the forecast, which have to be conducted and revised continually relative to air filters and HVAC filters. There's potentially a big need to upgrade a lot of systems to HVAC systems to incorporate HEPA filters, and probably the need for room purifiers in a lot of different areas. If you're a tenant in a building in New York and the tenant next door is isolating himself because he was potentially positive to the virus. There's a big justification for renting an air purifier with a HEPA filter, and probably one that's got a 3 cubic feet per minute discharge ability, cleaning ability as well. But back here on the masks, there's a huge potential for new designs of masks, and so with medical masks, the potential here, whatever I think, is there going to be people around the world wearing medical masks for the foreseeable future, and so the high potential compared to normal, which would be pre-coronavirus, is orders of magnitude like 50 times as much as would normally have occurred, or you would have predicted in the future. And the same for the conventional SMS N95 masks, but actually the low number might even be lower than the normal, because the new and novel masks may actually eventually take over that market. But in any case, you're dealing with either the normal market, which would be valued at one, even potentially even lower market in the future because of competition of other better approaches, cleanable approaches, and then potentially huge increase as people around the world are wearing these masks routinely. And by the way, Vogue Mask in China has something like a Nike store, and they offer an N95 very fashionable mask for $33, and that probably is not going to be something affordable by much of the world, but it does, I think, an indicator. And then the new masks with the nanofibers are a big potential, and they could take a lot of market share away. And the fact that they are washable and reusable with up to 24 times means that there's a huge potential for mask improvement in the future, and possibly the novel masks that aren't even on the market today or haven't even been designed will win out in the longer term. So all of this is based on this avalanche of information that we're receiving all the time. And what we've tried to do is to organize it in databases that where you can access by words such as hydrogen peroxide, and you see that Duke Health has been pioneering in that, and or on the nanofibers, and so somebody like KIST has a washable, reusable mask, and so this is the a version of our Global Decisions Orchard, which has been updated now to give you allow you to go directly into the coronavirus type information. We have these open recorded webinars, and they're for the hospitals, and they're for anybody who wants to attend. And they include presentations by the world experts in the various technologies, and also give suppliers a chance to present. There's also other interface with potential purchasers. We write feature articles in major publications, providing interface with the purchasers and validating supplier claims. For example, we write a feature article in every filtration news magazine, and it's always on the true costs of various different filtration options. Each of the subscribers has the opportunity to do one 40-minute, what we call interweb view, which is really a recorded presentation with appropriate comments from the McIlvaine staff and questions and things. So it becomes a discussion, but it really is based on a sales presentation. And the subscriber can choose the topic, of course. And here's a sample of one for pathogen on the solutions that's on a foot sanitizer. So the service is, as we said before, can be combined with these other reports. And I think one of the advantages that we have as a company is that we are involved in all these areas for treatment chemicals. We've been involved for 30, 40 years. The same with the air filtration, purification, mass and respirators, clean rooms. There's a lot of technology transfer from the clean room industry that needs to be utilized for HVAC in buildings and other ways to address the coronavirus problem. I'd like to show you a couple other things then too. We'll just move out of this end the show here. And so this was the agenda in our webinar last week. And Wallace Leung called in from Hong Kong, where he's a leading researcher on filter media and for masks and for filters. And there's a lot of breaking technology on using of nanofibers with both electrostatically charged media and non-electrostatically charged media. And then Christine Sun, who is a major person in this whole filtration area, gave presentations on a number of the mask questions. And so the two of them kind of started things out. Then we got into the presentations by Jimmy Gallico and David Shellup, who dealt with the decontamination processes. So we ended up with a presentation that I made on the reusable media. And unfortunately, we had an overbooked session and we didn't get to the virus destruction by Jeff Mathers of Filtration Group. But these are a lot of breaking things going on. Here are reusable N95 masks being produced, 300,000 masks per day in a Chinese facility. And so this is, I think, an important development there. And by the way, back on this one, this is what I was telling you about. This is this Vogue mask who has been selling these. They opened their first retail store in China in 2013, and this is an N95 mask with a valve and all the sophistication. Here's our alert from April 7th. And again, it's this daily alert. And so we address how effective is the cabin air filters. Then we got into some innovative technology where you can move a HEPA filter package to a store, and for instance, for a Starbucks or a Costco, you can provide the laminar airflow in the critical areas. And if you think in terms of potentially people that are generating viruses, that those viruses, a lot of them are small enough that they would be floating in the air. So the downward laminar flow becomes a very important a way to avoid contaminating others. And then we get into, in this particular one, something that's also one of the papers that we have abstracted there that gets into a lot of the technology about how viruses can move through the air and how they can last for a long period of time, and you need really to put in HVAC systems. And then there's a new media that out there that actually attacks the virus itself. And then many of the companies are moving into supplying ventilator, breathing apparatus, medical testing, and all sorts of different things. So these are the types of things that are in the alerts on a daily basis. Here is 3M, which is taking it upon themselves to see how their masks can be decontaminated, and concluding that hydrogen peroxide is one way to go with it. So this is an overview of the service, and my name is Bob McIlvaine. I would be glad to discuss any of this with you, answer any questions that you may have, and you can reach me at 847-226-2391. And thanks for your attention today.